Dear friends, good morning. I was thinking to write an article about the current situation in India. Since the bill being the Citizen Amendment Bill being brought into the House of Indian Parliament. Considering my time and my commitments, of course, writing an article would always take time. So what I have decided, I have just to give you my thoughts, and especially some of those people who support the CAB in India while sitting in England or abroad from India. I was thinking, just leave it and write the article. But again, I don't have the time to write an article. So now, just to clear my chest, I just want to put some of my views to you. Perhaps you may disagree with it. Let us agree to disagree. This is my view. Maybe you have different view. Let us have a democratic society where you can talk and I can talk and where my views can be heard. As Ambedkar rightly put it, the freedom is freedom of your mind. So, I have two kind of arguments here. Number one, how people who live abroad, Indians who live abroad, can criticize this, can support this bill or this act. I know many of us moved into this country or settled in this country. We all have, perhaps I have not, gained citizenship in this country. My question is, when we made an application to the British Home Office to get a British citizenship, have they asked you whether you are a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Parsi? Have they? I don't think they have. And I can confirm that is not the case in this country at all. And yet, you being yourself an economic immigrant, or maybe a refugee, or maybe a asylum seeker, came to this country and gained a citizenship, despite being a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Parsi, whosoever, you name it. And yet, you are supporting the bill or the law that is passed in India which discriminate Muslim community. How ridiculous is this? You yourself was an immigrant at point in time or at times, and you gained or you qualified not because of your religion. You met the test to get a citizenship in this country. And now you have come to you have come to a conclusion that in India we can have a law that discriminates a religion, and you support that. And I'm sorry, I feel pity. And number two, in Cambridge alone, I live in Cambridge, we have Hindu temple, we have Sikh Gurudwaras, we have church, especially look the recent invention by Cyril Malabar, or invention, or you call it whatever you want to call it. They are trying to buy their own or build their own churches here in this country. And you all might have seen last month, or maybe a couple of months ago, or maybe a few weeks ago, I was protesting in Cambridge to protect a Hindu temple that has been funded by the state, this country. We've been having the temple for almost 29 years. We've been using the state facility. Hindus in Cambridge. And many of this area, not only in Cambridge, many parts of this country, we have Hindu temples, Gurudwaras, Christian Jacobites. I don't even know the sublink and the links of the subdivision of these. All of our community do have their own religious right, and this country paying for that. And I know many of our cultural communities getting state fund, the government fund, to run our cultural activities. I have seen people are doing here Ayyappa Puja, Diwali, Hindu, Sikh celebrations, and Christians are doing their Christmas celebration separately. And why on earth, when you enjoy the utmost protection and utmost support from the state to do your cultural activities, why on earth you don't want that happen in your own country? Is it not an irony? And I feel the common sense, and challenge the common sense of those people who simply come onto social media and just simply support while living in this country or any country other than India. And number two, let me quote you a few. I'm not quoting Indian Constitution at all, because that is not my. That's that's not for me, at least for the time being. Now, let me read Article 14 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948. India is a signatory to that treaty, that law. Now, this says this: everyone has the right to seek and to enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. Now, my question is very simple. A person who faces persecution, who is a Muslim, live in Pakistan, live in Bangladesh, live in Afghanistan, can they not seek asylum in our country? This is the fundamental breach of this law. Let me read the preamble of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The preamble, I quote, "This recognizes the inherent dignity and inalienable right of all human beings, which need to be based on freedom." Now, this same Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, Article 2, I read from this. Article 2 entitles all humankind to the right and freedom contained in the Declaration without distinction from any kind of, but specifically race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion. I'm not reading the further bit. When Universal Declaration of Human Rights demands you, not request you, demands you to comply with Article 2, whereby do not enact any law that is contrary to the notion of this article. Now, someone lives in Pakistan, or someone lives in Bangladesh, someone lives in Afghanistan. If that person were to come to India, political asylum, not religious persecution. I know one of my friend who lives, I don't want to disclose it further, lives here in this country. He's a Muslim, but he's an atheist. He is facing persecution. If he wanted to go to India, can he not? Is it not the fundamental breach of this UDHRC? Now, bringing this law, and I have seen people arguing there is no discrimination, Muslims are safe, Christians are safe, there is no problem. Please, I don't care less. My country, India, is a country where secularism upholds the notion of secularism. India is not a religious country. It has never been and it will never be. Now, the question is very simple. How our country can pass a law like this, where all international conventions, international laws are being violated, and yet look at the social media, the threat. Anyone who criticizes this law, subject to a series of harassment, humiliation, for heaven's sake. I don't care. This law is the beginning of a regime that persecuted, massacred millions of people in Europe. I was talking to one of my colleagues in Cambridge. The moment I set the detention camp, he was in shock. The modern era civilized India is spending money on detention center. Who are you targeting for? It is another attempt to divide this country. And I request all my friends who live abroad are Indians. Can you understand? Can you look back what you were before? And again in Cambridge, we have received refugees from Europe. And you know the recent past, we have refugees issues across the globe. In Cambridge we have received. Have we ever said a particular group of religion is not welcome? Have they ever said, especially when look at when the South African crisis, 1972 immigration to this country, have ever British government or British state said or requested a specific religious group can only be come to this country? And I feel sick and tired of this argument that, oh no, this law is not discriminating. And I tell you, this law is nothing but the beginning of an era that created mayhem in Europe. It is our right, it is your duty, our duty, my duty to defend this law and fight against it. That clears my chest. Thank you.